And yesterday we have seen some business rules creation. So whenever you working for any business requirement, you want to have some business logical implementation, right? So for that, yesterday we have seen how to create business rules. How can we some automate some kind of calculations with help of calculated field and with the ruler field we have seen. So now today we are going to the security section. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Just let me know once you're able to see. So whenever you're working for any organization or you're working for any application, the first thing you need to take care is the data. Then you want to take care about hosting and then the security, right? So for our scenarios, one second, let me hide this. Okay. Now, the whenever we are working for an application, we need to take care data. We need to take care of where we are hosting. And next third thing is security. So as we are using Microsoft apps, whatever we are creating, those are Microsoft apps, right? So the data will be stored in the Dataverse by default. You don't need to do anything for server related. And hosting purpose, these are cloud hosted, Azure hosted, so you can access it from anywhere. So you don't need to do anything for security purpose. And coming to security also, the preliminary security authentication will be doing with Microsoft. Suppose whenever you click on any CRM URL or anything URL, suppose if you search this, by default it will redirect to login.microsoft online. So what does that mean? The initial authentication will be doing at Microsoft level. Okay. The next thing, once it is authenticated, it will authenticate whether the user is a part of Microsoft organization or whether he given the right credentials or like that only it will check. The next check what you need to do for each organization, for each environment, whether he has access or not, you need to see, right? Okay, suppose I have these many environments. Suppose if you guys open the same admin power platform with your user accounts, you might hardly seeing your own environment and this sales service LUTD. Why the others are not showing? Because I just given control like you should able to see only those apps, those environments. So that kind of control we can do it with security. Okay. Now if you see, I'm just opening this LUT dev. This is my dev environment. So here I am opening. So by default, it is landing here. If you see here it is showing what are the available apps for this organization, for this environment. Okay. Now if you see here, I'm just selecting student feedback or I'm selecting some other app. So for every app, you can control security. Also, you can control security at entire environment level. Okay. So whatever the environment level, if you want to control anything, all those changes you will be using in this app. View and manage the settings for your environment. So in this Power Platform environment settings, you will be doing the all environment level settings. Okay. Now today we are going to learn on security. So if you see here in the left side sitemap navigator, you have system. Under system, you have administration. Then you have security. So what I was saying, even though he has access to the Microsoft, he has a valid credentials of Microsoft. Still, he may have access, he may not have access, right? That level authorization we should give from our end. So how do you give? Suppose if he is part of the users, then only he will get access. Now I am opening this users. So whenever you are clicking on users, again it is redirected to admin Power Platform, because managing user something related to admin, right? So that's why it is opening in that page only. Now if you see here, you have this many users. Suppose Satish or someone else opens this environment, it won't open because Satish doesn't have access here. If you see, do you see Satish here? No, right? But if Nikhil or Rizwan open this environment, he will get access because he has the valid Microsoft credentials. Also, he is a part of this environment. How? He is added as a user. So like this, you can control. So even Microsoft is taking care of the initial authentication. The authorization you will be doing with users and the other rest of the this with this. Okay. Now this users will be basically will help you to who can sign into your environment, who can see the apps like that. Okay. Now, so once suppose for the cycle and you have give the you want to control what are the apps you can do, what are the things you can do. Now I don't I want to remove him. So if you see here, once a user is added to this environment, if you want to do any change anything. So if you see here, you have manage security roles, you have change position, change manager, all these options here, right? We can use them. Okay. Now, right now, what we have seen, the initial level authentication done by Microsoft. The next authorization, if the user is part of this environment users, he will be able to log in. Now, this will deal with the entire environment level, right? Now, I want app level. So for that purpose, here in the three dots for each app, you will have manage roles. Means who can open. Okay. So like this, we can control at app level. Environment level access will be given by users and app level access will be given by roles. Okay. Any questions here till users? Okay. Now, suppose I want to add a new user. So ideally, we can't add users directly. Microsoft will push these users. Okay. So if I add to a new user, I will go to this admin center. I will go to this environment and you will have this Microsoft enter, Microsoft 365 admin center. So here what you will do, here you can add or you can delete the users. Okay. Now, if you see here you have user management, add user, edit user, reset password, everything. So I can do all operations. Okay. Suppose if I want to delete a user, suppose I want to delete Sai Kalyan from this environment, I can control it from here. So here it is roasting all users. Okay. So suppose if I want to delete for anyone, I will be using these admin platform, admin center. But in general, node. So in general, we will work for a development team, right? This admin center will owned by completely Microsoft. You can't own it. It means individual project won't own the admin center, Microsoft admin center. For admin center, you will have a separate team who will work across globe. So you need to reach them whenever you want to onboard the user or whenever you want to remove the user. Okay, any questions here? Users level. Okay. Now if you see for all this user, you have username that is nothing but a logged in ID. Let's say assume email. You have business unit. Okay. So for each organization, there will be a unique business unit. Suppose for this LUT dev, you have this one. For some other, if you open some other environment, okay, it will have a different business unit. So what does that mean? For each environment, there will be a unique business ID will be created. So under organization or under every environment, there will be one business unit will be there. Now if you see for Saikan also, he has some business unit that is with org. Okay. Now, so like this, you will be having individual users. Suppose if you want to have a team, so anyway, this apps will suppose if app working in a 365 model and like entire across globe. in that scenarios, you will be having various teams, right? Teams are nothing but a group of users. So for that group of users, you can be creating users. You can add being the user. Suppose, let me create team. So by default, we have these many. So I'm creating a new team like India team. So here, whenever you are creating a team as well, you have to choose the business unit. Okay. So for the users, you have the business unit. Whenever you create the team also, you have the business unit. So for now, I'm selecting the owner. Okay. Now if you see for the business unit, as we have only one business unit, I'm just selecting the default and search for administrator. You have to choose administrator means they are the owners for the team. So they can add the people, they can remove the people, they can do all admin kind of operations. So now if you see, whenever you are creating a team, it is asking manage security roles. So what do you mean by security roles in the CRM? Basically, security roles like at org level, if the user has part of this environment, they can access the environment, right? But suppose you have too many entities, you will have 100 entities. You want to control access to the entity level, right? To do that, we would be using the security roles. Okay. Now, if you see here, all these are out of the box security roles only. You have AAB, app opener, everything we have, right? All these are out of the box security roles only. So, whenever you want to give all privileges for the entire org, you will be giving the system administrator and you will be giving the system customizer. So, administrator and customizer, the difference is like customizer can do whatever the customizations like form creation, customizations, everything like the like customization. Administrator can do the he can deal with users, like he can add the security roles, he can remove the security roles, he can deal with adding the teams like that. Okay. Any question till here? This is more about theoretical topic. Just listen carefully. In the interviews also they will ask you scenarios. Okay. Now, so what I did, I just created a team assigning the role. So for now, I'm just giving the top role, system admin and system customizer. So with that role, the whoever part of this India team, they can do whatever they want. Now I just opening the team here. By default, you don't have anyone because I haven't added anyone. Now if you see team name is India team, every team should link to business unit. That is my root business unit, the default business unit. Now here you need to add the users. Suppose if I want to add Kalyan, I will be using legs. Okay. So I am adding these two people to India team. So now this way I will be adding users to the team. Now let's go back to my environment. So while creating ticket ID, we were just using owner field, right? Sorry, what is my environmental detail? So here I was using my ticketing tool. Let's assume. So here I have tickets, right? So for this ticket field, I don't have owner. They have, let me choose student feedback survey. Created by. Here also we don't have owner. Let me create one field. So when do we get owner field for entities means in the while creating entity, we are selecting entity type, right? Whether it is a organization owned entity or user or team. So when do you mention user or team, you will be getting a owner field. Okay. I'm just creating a new entity for this student app. Let's assume like we are creating games. I'm just opening Maker Portal, opening solutions. Here I'm creating a new entity. So for that one, I have to choose add new. Here I want to create table, right? Table with advanced properties. So here I am choosing like what you call games. I want to create a games. What you will call some games board. Suppose if we have cricket, they will have some cricket kind of board or union. So I'm just keeping that games board. Here, if you see, here that entity type is standard. Here record ownership. Suppose if you keep organization, there won't be any ownership for the record. So that will be available for anyone who has access. Suppose if you created user or team, in that scenario only, you will be getting the owner. So I'm selecting keeping as these are default settings. Now I'm creating. Now what I did, I just added a new table, right? To add the table to sitemap, I have to go to sitemap, right? Here I'm going to sitemap, editing this sitemap. So here I'm adding one more area like extracurricular. So here I want to add group. You need to select this one. And then I click on group like physical. So inside this, I want to add this games board. Okay, sorry, I click on area. You have to click on sub area, right? So you need to select this group and you click on sub area. In the sub area, you will be selecting entity dashboard we have seen, right? I'm selecting entity to add my table. What is my table name? Games. So I'm just adding games board. Save. Publish. So what will happen? A new area and new section will be added to the sitemap. So to get my changes, I have to refresh my page. So I'm switching to a different area. It's not yet reflected. So I will do hard refresh with using function F12. So now I should get a new area here. What is my extracurricular? Here I'm getting the physical group, then I'm getting the game boards. Now, whenever you create any record here, if you see, you are getting this owner field. But if you see for other entities, are you getting the owner field? No, right? So that's the difference between the type, whatever you are selecting, record ownership. Suppose if you select student feedback. So do you have owner field? Here, do you have owner field? No, right? So what does that mean? Anyone who has access to the environment, if they have access to if they have access to the reading this entity, they can see this record. But if you want to have control it, So only someone can change make changes the record, or someone can only work on this record. In such scenarios, we will be using this owner. So for that purpose, you will be using record owned, you will be creating record owned entities. Okay. So for this here, I am using Jyoti, right? Instead of Jyoti, whoever is logged in user created, you can use teams, you can assign it to team. So whoever part of the team, they can make the changes. Okay, getting. So if you have, even though record is created by individual, if they assign owner to team, whoever part of this team, India team part of right now, two people, right? So both Ashok and Kalyan can make changes to that record. So that's the meaning of team and here in the owner page. Getting? Any questions, Satish?
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you give one real-time example, like where we face a situation while doing our technical side, like you have mentioned, right? Only owner can.
That's what. Suppose let's consider you are working for a support. You are working for some project that is dealing with the support that will deal with the case incidents. So what will happen? They will be creating tickets. So by default, it won't assign to individual. It will assign to some team, IST team. That's why I just given India team example. So in the India team, again, there will be a number of users will be, right? So they will be distributing. So for the India team, you have 12 tickets. You have four people in the team. So they will be using three tickets per person. Like that, they will be dividing. For that assigning also, we'll have some more mechanism. Routing, you will have different mechanism of CRM. But like that, you will be using teams to group it. Instead of a single person owning, you just assign it to a team. So whoever is part of team, suppose suddenly today four people working, tomorrow one person got sick, so he won't be available, right? Still, the three people should be able to manage based upon the priority. So as this all tickets owned by the entire team, even though some person absent, the remaining three people can take their work, take his work. Suppose if he owned by only by him, suppose he got some sick or some critical health issue, he suddenly disconnected from work. So what if he is the only person owning the record, someone else can't take that work, right? That will be a blocker, right? So instead of assigning records to an individual, we will often assign to owner owner teams. Okay, getting any questions? So what we have seen, we just create scene users and teams. So basically teams will be used for grouping users, and we can have a owner as a team as well. So that will usually call as a owner team. Okay. Now the next thing is security roles. So what I mentioned for security roles, at org level, Microsoft will take care the access. It will check the credentials are wrong, right or wrong. It will do the initial authentication. At environment level, they have to part of the users. Then only they will get the access. Now you want a scenario like you have multiple apps here. So some my ticketing tool is a different app. Student feedback service is a different app. So even though everyone is part of this users, okay. So you have, let's assume you have 30 people. 30 people not belongs to the both apps. 10 people belong to the one app, 20 people belongs to the one app. So you should able to manage, right, security. We should able to manage the security for them, right? So whoever part of ticketing tool, they should able to work for ticketing tool. They shouldn't touch any data for student feedback. So whoever part of student feedback app, they should able to work on their own app. They shouldn't touch the ticketing tool. So for that scenarios, we will manage control at app level or entity level with using security roles. Okay. So for now, let me create a new security role. By default, you will be having these many security roles. Okay. So in this default security roles, you need to consider these two: system administrator and system administrator. These are top roles. If they have these roles, they can do, they can access any app, they can work on anything like that. So in general, also no one will have, you don't want to have everyone system admin, system customizer, right? So you have to control based upon their level. So suppose for the student feedback, for 20 people, they should handle only student feedback entities. Okay. So for that one, what I'm doing, I'm just creating a new role for student feedback app, student feedback app. So business unit, here also you need to select business unit. Here, direct user basic access, you need just keep as it is. Now, once role is created, here you can see, you need to mention what he can do. Like at what table he can change the data, at what table he has to see everything. So for the student feedback entity, I have multiple tables, right? Like feedback table is there, students table is there, games board is table, games board table is there, like that, right? So I want to mention, so what are operations he can do. So let's search for feedback. So student feedback there. Now if you see, here you have permissions: create, read, write, delete, append to assign share. Now student feedback, if I have only read privilege, so if I have only read privilege, he can only read the data. He can't make any changes. Okay, so let's give save. So what I did, I just given the suppose I just want to give this student app to some third party user. They can just see the data and they want to generate some reports by using the app. So in that scenarios, I don't give entire control to him, right? I just want to use the data. In such scenarios, what you will do, you will just give the read access. So for the student feedback, you have give the read access. Also, you have, what are the other entities you have? You have student entity, right? So for the student entity also, you need to give the read access. And suppose if you have, just now we created games board. For that games board also, he should have read access. So while selecting here, you have user, you have parent child business unit, and you have organization, you have business unit. So what do you mean by these options? So if you closely observe, just now what we have seen for student and student feedback, we could see only organization and user, none. But if you search for games board, you could see like individual, right? Like you can see organization, you can see user, you can see parent child. Why? Because this games board is a user or team owned type, right? The student feedback and students are the organization owned entities. So for the organization owned entities, either they can do see the data, they can't see the data. Either two options only. Because by default, you are creating organization means either that should available or that shouldn't available. No other options. But whenever you are creating a user or team ownership table, you can manage the control like at what level he can do. Suppose if you select user, he can read only his records. Okay. Suppose if you give business unit, he can read the business unit, whoever part of his business unit. Okay. Suppose if you give parent child business unit, he can read the data based upon his unit and his child units. Like that you can control. Getting here? Any confusion? I just given access for 3 entries. So what I'm doing, so for the student feedback app, I want to use this app. So you have created a new app. Now what I will do here in the app level, MakerBot app level, here by default, if you have system admin, system customizer, it will be there. Okay. Now I will remove system admin, system customizer, and also add my newly created security role here. What is that? Student feedback, right? Did you get that? Let's do a refresh. So go back here, click on three dots, manage roles. Here, we have STU, support user service, student feedback app. So now I have chosen three roles out of 99. So system administrator, system customizer, they can see this app by default. Now apart from them, whoever has a student feedback app, they can see it. So now where do you mention this user has student feedback or this person has this role? Now if you go to users here in the security, go to users again. So I'm just opening Kalyan's record. Here you have manage security roles. Now if you see here, I have gave you system admins. Now I will remove system admin, system customizer, and I will just give the student feedback app. Now what will happen whenever he open this arg, my LUT-CRM@dynamics.com, he can see this app, he can see the records, but he can't make any changes. So everything will be locked for him. He can simply read the data. He can't make any changes. Getting? So that's how we can control the operations. What are the operations can do by user? Okay. Any questions still here? Now I have given security role at user level. Just now we have seen like what I said, I will be assigning owners for entity records, right? So in such the same way, you should have, if you have 100 team members, you can't go to each team and you won't update the security role, right? So at the team level also, you can control the security. If you click on these teams, for you, whenever you select the teams also, you can see the security. Suppose if you see India team, here you have managed security roles. Here also you can mention. Now here I am just removing system admin, system customizer, adding student feedback. Now tell me, Cyclone is part of team. Cyclone also has separate role. So suppose if for in this scenario, I just give the same role like student feedback here at team level, individual also I have given the same role. Suppose in the team level, I have system administrator also I have given. Okay. And at his personal level, he has only student feedback app level. So in that scenarios, every security will be like cumulative. So has he has system administrator here and he don't have the system admin there, right? So this will be like a union. So at the end, he will have the system administrator. Suppose here he has the student feedback app, there he has some other role. So then also he will have both roles. So that whatever the top one will be applicable. Getting? So security roles always like a cumulative. So if you have 4 security roles, the privileges also will be like cumulative. And on the one role you have read, but on the role you have create. So he can do the both create and read. Getting? Any questions? Now here, what we did, we just added on the my own entities, right? If you see, you can see all tables. So whatever the account OB tables, custom tables, everything you can see it from under tables. Okay. So if you closely observe, whenever organization type ownership came for entity, you don't have assign and share because that is already doesn't own by anyone, right? So you can't assign or share. So what do you mean by assign and share? Suppose if you choose email server profile, This is a user or team owned record ownership, right? For this, you are seeing assign and share. So basically, in the CRM, assign and share are like now if you see the cricket board, it is owned by India team. Now, if you want to work someone else on this record, so in such scenarios, you can share this record. So if you see here, you have a share button. Whenever you are sharing manage access, here you can share to a individual or again a team. Now, right now in the India team, whoever part of Ashok and Sai Kalyan, right? Now I'm assigning this to Rizwan. So what will happen? Apart from Ashok and Sai Kalyan, Rizwan also can work on this record because I am sharing the record. Manage who can see your record, how much access they get. So we are defining whether he can read the data, he can write the data, he can delete the data like that. Getting also whether he can assign share to again. So like that you will be giving. Any questions here? Now what I want to do, I don't want to share. I want to transfer the ownership completely to Irfan, completely to Rizwan. So in that purpose, you will be using assign option. So assign is like complete owner transfership. Make someone else the owner of this games board. So whatever the record you assign to someone else, suppose if you want to assign to user or team, here I will select Satish. Suppose we don't have Satish here, right? Let's select Nikhil. So what I'm doing, I'm just assigning this record to Nikhil. So what will happen? This record will be newly owned by Nikhil. So the whoever owned earlier the India team, they will lost the data. They can't see this record anymore. Getting so assigning share means that assigning means transfer ownership. Sharing means you are just giving sharing to someone else. Okay. Now where is security role? So like that for a user or team owned entities only you will have assign and share. For organization owned entities you won't have assign share. Now next thing here you have create is normal creating a record. Read is like normal reading a record. Write means you are making updates to record. Delete means whether you are able to delete or not. So what do you mean by append and append to? So in general, append to basically will be used for in the subgrids. Now suppose yesterday on the students entity, we just created subgrid, right, for students feedback. Okay, let me open S1 because yesterday we created a roll of field, right? I just want to show that as well. So here feedback. Here if you see yesterday we have blank value while when we created the roll of field. Now if you see it has data and it is showing it is updated at 6:49 p.m. So after 12 hours means again it will update at 12 o'clock sometime. Again it will update at tomorrow tomorrow 6 p.m. For every 12 hours this job will run. Now as I have only two records, right? So it will do the sum of these two records. Okay. Now what I was discussing at subgrade level, right? So here one student has multiple feedbacks. So append means here if you have append privilege for the student and student feedback are both are related, right? Suppose if you want to add extra another record here, student feedback should have the append privilege and student should have the append too. Getting? Don't confuse here. Basically, append to will be used to assigning records in the subgrids. So the target entity should have append privilege and the related entity should have the append to privilege. So like that, we can control whether they can link, whether those two entities can be linked by that person or he can't do anything. If you don't mention anything, he can't link it. If you mention anything, he can link it. Getting? Any questions? So like this, we will control each table level. For what table he can do what action. Like that we will mention. Now if you see these are about table level. Now if you come to miscellaneous privileges, here you will be doing some common operations for environment. You don't have any common operations here. Now let's go to show all. So if you see, enabling this privilege will allow user to extract column data. Show only assign show all. It's not. Let me open some other. Let's open AIB roles. So for the two tabs also you will be having data. Now if you see for this miscellaneous privilege, here you are defining activate business rule, activate real-time process, whether he can activate a business rule or not, he can turn off a business rule or like that you will define privilege. He'll also privilege level he can be mentioned at what actions he can do at his user level or parent child BU level or BU level organization level. Getting here or any questions? It's more about theoretical but concept wise. Okay. Now for the privacy related also, here you will control the export to Excel. Export to Excel means suppose I have students record. I want to export this data to some outside to CRM. So suppose if you click on these three dots, you are getting export to Excel. Whenever you click on export to Excel, a new Excel file will be created. So do you want to do that operation by user or not? You can configure here at user level. Where is that? Here if you have none, he can't do that export. If you have organization level, he can export the data. If he is able to see the okay. Any questions here? Good. So I'm just going back to again Power Platform environment settings, security. I'm just closing all my open tabs. So let's go back to security. So now I just set security rules. I just mentioning what I need to do, what can I control. Now actually I have business unit in the security. Also I just define using business rule parent child business unit, right? So what do you mean by business unit? So in general, you are having teams for grouping users, right? So business unit also same like group. Okay. By default, every organization you will have one business unit we just discussed, right? Suppose if you want to have some custom business unit, you can create it. So for the teams are not interlinked. So suppose if you have n teams, four teams, the four teams can work independently. But whenever you are creating a business unit, those will be creating like a nested. So you will be having one parent and you will have one child like that. Okay, I'm just here creating trainer. I'm creating under BU, same root BU, selecting here. So one BU is created. Now I want to create a one more BU, that is trainee. Let's assume, suppose if we see for every BU, you have to select the parent BU. So for the first one, I selected the root BU. Now I am selecting the trainer. So in the behind the scenes, how it will create means it will be created nested. I just told you, right? So let me show it here. So by default, you will be having this parent BU. Whatever you will get for with root BU, that is with you will get with the organization. Okay. Now, if you create any child BU under here, so it will be creating and it will be also linked to the original BU. That is nothing but a root BU. So if you see here, selecting parent BU is a mandatory. So whatever the BU you are creating, you have to choose parent BU. Okay. Now I'm just using this arrow. Now, whenever we created one more, right? So that will be like one more level trainee. Now, this will be parent for trainer, right? So here you are again. So like this, it will be nested. Now tell me, in the security roles we are defining, right? Using parent-child business unit or using only business unit like that. Okay, let me go back to security roles. So here what I'm mentioning for this right scenario, either you will select user. So whatever the things he can make changements here you will mention. Suppose if we have business unit, so he can make changes whoever part of that BU. Means his records he can change it. His team records. Suppose if he is part of some other people also will be part of his BU, right? So all the BUs he can be changed. Suppose if we have parent-child business unit, in that scenario, suppose trainer you are a trainer range. So you can change to change you can make changes to this trainer level records, also trainee level. Suppose you are part of root BU, you can make all BUs records. Getting what do you mean by parent shall BU? What do you mean by BU? Okay. Now you can ask me one question. So why do we have BUs? Why do we have teams? So when we are creating teams, do you see any relationship or between teams? Everything is will be like independent, right? So here we created an India team. So whenever you create a BU, automatically a team will be created for the BU. Okay. Now this trainee team and trainer team doesn't have any relationship. The BUs have relationship, but these two teams doesn't have any relationship. Suppose if you modify anything on this business trainee team security roles, it won't change anything in the trainer. But here in the BU, if you change anything at trainer level, that will be flow back to trainee like that. Okay, getting or overloaded. Okay, now like this, we will be using business units, security roles, teams. Now we have seen teams, right? So whenever you are creating a team, if you click on here, let me click again, closing the right tabs. Suppose if whenever you are creating a team, so I'm just giving like my practice. So here you have to choose business Indo. I am using India team business unit. We don't have India team, right? Trainee and administrator. I'm just giving my user as administrator and team type. So for whatever the teams you have created, all those are owner. You could see, right? India team has owner. You have created BUs trainee. BU created so trainee owner type team added. Now you have one more access type. You have Microsoft ID, Entra ID security group, Microsoft ID office group. So basically, suppose in the CRM, what we said, it will be using the Microsoft Entra authentication, right? So Microsoft Entra authentication, nothing but they will use the Azure authentication. So in the Azure authentication, so how does it know like this person has CRM access? This person doesn't have a CRM access. After, even though he has the credential, suppose if you don't have access, they should show the error, right? So to manage users for environment, we will be using the Entra groups, Entra ID security groups. So those are nothing but Azure security groups. Now if we go to portalazure.com, you will be seeing Microsoft Entra ID, right? If you click on this one, you will see users groups. So these groups are nothing but Microsoft Entra ID security groups. Security group is nothing but a kind of collection, right? So in this group, you will be creating who can do what. Who can do what means who can have which environment. Suppose if you see, I'm selecting security group. I'm like LT6 batch. So membership assigned owners, I'm selecting myself. Okay, members I will add later. So what I did, I just created a new group. Now at the environment level, whenever you go environment level in the admin platform, while creating every environment, you are choosing security group. By default, you will be skipping because you don't want to deal with security groups. But in the real use case, for every environment, they will be selecting the security groups. So once the user added here, okay. So what is my group? LT6, right? So I will be searching here. Here. So suppose I want to add Satish. Satish is not part of this LUT DU, right? Now I want to give access to him, this environment. So what I will do, I will just click on manage. I will add members. So I'm just adding Satish here. So you will get Satish here. Satish speak. Now Satish speak is now a member. Now if you see here, till now, whenever I click on users, you won't see Satish. But after some time, if you refresh, Satish will be available here, but he don't have any security role. Like that, you can manage getting. Okay. Now let's go back to Teams. So what are the other teams you have? Microsoft Entra Office Group. We never use. I never used it personally. I don't know. And the next one is Access Team. Now what you are doing at the record level, either you are suppose if it is a record owned, this one, either you are transferring the record ownership or you are sharing the ownership. Suppose if you want to share across 100 people, you can't select each individual and you can't give the privilege, right? Suppose they are part of different teams. So in such scenarios, we will be using this access teams. Okay. So suppose I'm creating access team here. Enter, I'm just using Shivendra name here. Now a new team is created, my practice. So in the, so here, when you open teams here, it is opened here in the my team. Now if you see here, right now only one user is present. Now if you see object ID for a group is blank for now. Okay. Now what I want to do for this GameSpot entity, I want to create an access team. So what will happen? Instead of using assign and share, I want to give the access through access teams. So for that purpose, you have to go to this Power Platform. Here we have access team templates, right? So you have to click on this access team templates. Here you will be creating a new team template. So here you will be choosing what is your template name and you will be choosing entity. So for which entity you want to give access. Now, if you whenever you're trying to select, nothing is happening. Why? Because while creating GameSpot entity, you haven't mentioned whether I can give access team template or not. So for that one, you have to go back to Maker portal. You have to change the entity property. So I'm going to my tables, or you can go to solutions, click on the right, go back to your entity. My entity is GameSpot. Here I want to change some property, right? Go to entity properties here. Now here you will be selecting access team, whether audit changes, enable, create, have an access team. So if you select this, it will appear there. As I haven't selected here now, it won't appear. So I'm just publishing all my changes. Now I will do a refresh here at access team. Where is it? Here. Selecting temporary. Now GameSpot is coming. What does that mean? To use this feature, you should have a access team flag enabled in the entity properties. Now here I'm just giving what he can do. Same like security role. He can do assign, he can delete, he can read, write. I'm just selecting randomly here. Now I'm just creating new template. So what I want to do now, I want to mention this, right? Who can access this table? So for that purpose, for this in the GameSpot level, you have to create a subgrid, team subgrid, where you will mention the users who all can access this. So go back to forms, click on main. So here I want to add a subgrid, right? Go to subgrid, click on grid, select subgrid. Here you have teams regarding object, or you have this user entity instance data, right? So this one you have to pick. I'm just selecting this. Default view is not coming. Let's click. Let's add teams. So it will be showing my own in teams. I'm adding. I'm just publishing. So what will happen? A new subgrid will be appear here. In this place, you can add the users or teams, whoever want to give access. So instead of in the assign, you can select only one person can owner, right? In the share, you have to choose all people, right? Suppose if you have 100 people, you can't select him, right? So if you use the sub access team template directly in the subgrid, you can add the teams. So that's the advantage here. Any questions here? Okay. So tomorrow we will continue the same security concept. So if you see now, we just seen till here, right? We just covered what do you mean by user, what do you mean by teams, what do you mean by security roles, what do you mean by you. So tomorrow we will be continuing with column security profile, hierarchy security, position security, and application users. Any questions? Chalo. Now if you see a new subgrid is added, here you can give the add existing team. So I can give trainee. So here direct, so whoever part of this team, they will be available to make changes to this record. Okay. That's how we will using access teams. So I will be giving the same kind of exercise to explore this. So right now, no one, so we have individual users, right? So you can just add other people to your environment and you need to control them. That's your practice. Right now, Shivendra has complete access on this Shivendra environment, right? So he has to give, I will mention some in the assignment. So he has to onboard my user to his environment and he has to give the control what he has to do. Like that, you need to practice. So everyone has each individual, right? So other than you, someone else you should add and they should do some action. Like that, you just prepare, explore this activity. Okay. Chalo then. Mhm. Where is hidden? No. Sorry. Chalo, thank you. I'm just stopping.
Thank you, Harish.
Sorry, I haven't actually usually I use other script today. I haven't used that's why. Okay then. Chalo, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Harish. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.